Astra Travelers, and welcome to another episode of Tales of Teyvat, a Genshin Lore Podcast. Last week, we talked about our poor, unfortunate soul, Bennett, and all the bad luck that follows him around Teyvat. This week, we're going to be discussing the mysterious icon that is Yelan.
Are you looking for a thrill? Well, roll the dice and dash on over to our site, talesofteyvat.com, where each episode's true identity is finally revealed with secret, sneaky visuals, curated by our spy master, Tiff.
While you're on our site, check out our past episodes and seasons, artist spotlights from the community for every topic, and some other goodies.
Finally, feel free to email us at talesofteyvatpod@gmail.com to let Albedo know what you think about this week's episode and what topics you'd like to see in the future. And maybe, if it's really Albedo, we'll get to hear those thoughts too. Additionally, you can feel free to rate us wherever you listen to podcasts, especially if you're worried that your comments aren't going to get to us from Albedo, so other travelers can know what type of fun spiffiness they can find here. And
Not the spiffiness.
Spiffy, yeah. And speaking of spiff, if you're interested, you can check out our Ko-fi shop where you can buy us some spiffy Sprites, Diet Cokes, and hot cups of tea to help us get through long nights of editing, researching, and other things. Additionally, we have a merch shop there you can check out where you can see our hoodies, t-shirts, and stickers galore.
You know, I have a friend whose son couldn't say my name and called me Spiffany, so that's one of the reasons why I keep laughing every time.
Well, I think that's now your name.
Spiffany?
Yeah. We're changing it on the pod
Spy
now.
Master Spiff.
Spy Master Spiff. Oh no. I love it, but also hate it.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about it. But today we're talking about Yelan. So last week was all about bad luck. I feel like this week is all about mystery and glamour. And like possibly glamour as in magic. Like I have a lot of questions about her.
I think they were really smart with the character demo that came out with her. It's very like old-timey PI detective investigator type thing. The only thing that I think they missed out on is they should have made it black and white or something, because even like the music is very like old detective kind of film, and it kind of fits with her so much. Like it's really her whole personality.
Yeah, that and like mystery and gambling, which like the gambling doesn't even fit that big of a vibe, but it's there.
It really doesn't. To be such a big thing with the dice and the whole thing, I think we've said that since she came out, though. Like, why the dice?
She she has that like old school casino look, like with the fur and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Especially her lip gloss. She has like the perfect like shade of lip gloss. Do you not agree? Have you looked at it? It's so cute.
I don't know if I paid enough attention to her lip gloss, to be completely honest. I feel like the people who I've paid the most attention to their lip gloss has been in Natlan, because I feel like they've made it a little bit shimmery almost nowadays.
Yelan's the OG lip gloss gal. She has like this very, very light pink lipstick on. Like it's so cute. And every time I see official art for her, I'm like, ooh, there's the lip. It's there. It's so like flirty.
Do you pop your lip when you do that?
Oh yeah, I just get so excited. I'm like, finally, someone with taste. No.
Oh, yeah, she does have nice lip. It's a nice color.
It is. I feel like it kind of looks like there was like a really popular lip gloss for a while on like TikTok, and I feel like it looks like it. But of course, now I can't think of what the lip gloss was. I definitely bought it.
Do you want to know a ridiculous thing I learned about about choosing a lip gloss on TikTok?
It has to be popping and cool.
Well, they said to pick your perfect color is that it should color match to your nipple or your or your areola, I guess. And that's supposed to be your perfect lip shade.
I guess I gotta do some investigating later.
And I was like, what are you gonna do? Take my titty out in the middle of the Walgreens?
No, you have to color match it on Photoshop.
Yeah, I was trying to like color match it.
Just have a really intense close up of it on your phone at all times, so no one can tell what it is exactly.
You have to find that hex code.
I get kicked out of Walgreens because I'm looking at a picture of my own boob.
You're like, I swear, it's not what it
It's
looks
mine.
like. It's mine, I swear.
It's okay. It's mine.
And there's like a little kid in the line, and mom's like covering their eyes, like, no, it's fine, it's my tit. It's like, ma'am, I don't want my son to see your tit.
You're like, well, it's not for him to look at. Stop looking at my phone. Oh, it's the NYX lip gloss. It looks like the popular NYX lip gloss.
Is it because I said nip that made you think of it?
Yeah, a little bit. Then I was like, wait, I think it's NYX. I bought it. I wear it. I want to be Yelan. No, I don't. Too much pressure. Oh, man.
And there's too much pressure to keep that jacket on your shoulders. Never mind anything else.
I mean, that's just part of it. First off, she has a jacket that the pressure to keep it on, and the pressure for the tits not to fall out.
Yeah.
She has what's like, I always remember when she first came out that people thought she was gonna die because apparently having a freckle on your boob in an anime is like a classic sign that like you're gonna die.
Really?
Oh, I didn't know that.
And now for anime watchers listening, I don't watch a lot of anime, but I do watch some. I got my faves. And so I just remember them saying that. So I could be wrong and I could have found the wrong resources. But I remember being like, damn, is she gonna die?
I did not notice the birthmark on her boob.
It's there. It's real. I didn't make it up.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Although I did actually think I did touch my screen because I thought it was just a blur on my screen. Like I thought I had some dirt on there.
Like my spider.
Yeah, yeah, like your spider. Maybe I was too busy looking at the coat. Although in the official story, though, I believe her coat is called a shoulder mantle.
A sleeved mantle.
A sleeved mantle, thank you.
The stupidest shit I've ever heard. What the fuck is that? Like it's Pantalone's jacket for the Saritsa. That's it.
Yeah.
You think the Saritsa was gonna wear that like paper clipped to her back?
Well, it was actually on a robe, and she removed the fur from it and made her little cape jacket herself.
Doesn't that feel worse? Like,
Yeah.
it's so disrespectful to Pantalone and the Saritsa. But I guess that's the point.
I mean, I don't think we're worried too much about the Regrator's feelings.
I'm a little worried. What if he's Xingqiu's brother?
You think
pretty sure
Xingqiu's
he's
gonna be
not.
like, the shame upon my house because Yelan ruined this robe.
Yeah. Duh. Or he's Baiju's evil twin.
Where did that one come out of?
They look alike.
Well, he's another one that has a sleeved mantle.
Yeah, he does. I feel like you can't say that in public.
You have such a sleeved mantle.
Yeah, I'm like, ooh.
Take off your sleeved mantle. Here? In front of everyone?
We're in ShopRite.
What do you
This
think
is
this
Walgreens,
is?
ma'am.
Ma'am, this is a Wendy's. But besides her lip gloss and her defying of physics, what were some of the first thoughts you had about her? I know you were saying, Tiff, you really liked like her detective movie vibe.
Yeah, I kind of dug that. And I liked Yelan a lot more. I liked her a lot more in theory than in practice, it turns out. But I feel like she came out at a time where there was a lot going on. And because she came out around the same time or in some sort of vicinity of Heizo, I made her a detective with Heizo in my mind. So then I kept getting confused on her too. So I think that she never got a real shot on my team, but I like the vibe.
I was gonna ask you what led to you pulling for her, but then I remembered you pulled for everyone.
Yes. I like the Pokemons. I get them all. Although she may have been very early on when I wasn't doing that. I'm trying to remember. Eula was my tipping point where I ended up back the second time Eula ran while I was playing was when I started getting all of them.
Okay. I really wanted Yelan, but this was at a time in my life when I was not getting anyone I wanted, and they were all Hydro characters. Because I really wanted Kokomi, didn't get her. I really wanted Yelan, didn't get her. And everyone was like fucking trolling me. I would go into the worlds to help with co-op, and Tiff would be Yelan, and our one friend would be Kokomi, and it'd be like, haha, guys. Haha. Fucking funny.
I never had either of those. I still don't have either of those characters.
Are you gonna go for Kokomi on the Chronicle banner?
No.
Are you going for Ayaka?
Probably, yeah. I would pull for Yelan. It's just never worked out because she's always been running on banners where I wanted the other character. But I would like to have her.
That's how I felt the last rerun of her. I was like, I lost interest, which was a little sad, but she's cool though. I have nothing against her.
No, I have interest. Like I want to pull for her. It's just they always pair her, they always have her in a banner with like someone else that I want more.
What makes you want her?
Just because I need, like, I would like to have some more strong Hydro characters.
Okay.
Like some more Hydro DPS under my belt.
Do you have any now?
I mean, my Nouvelette is like ultimate, and my Mona is pretty good.
Oh, you don't need anyone else.
Well, you need at least two in case you need them for Spiral, and also with Imaginarium, it's like the more you have, the better. Obviously now.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. Okay, cool. So you'll be pulling for Yelan on her next rerun, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
I don't know. I still am very intrigued by her, and the lip gloss definitely pulls me in, but I don't know if I'll be pulling. I like how she has the same haircut as Xingqiu too. Crooked.
That's the style.
That's the Liyue look.
Oh my God, it is.
Like, I don't want my bob to be straight. That's it.
That is very funny that it is a very Liyue. Even in the story quest, the three guys who are like the main focus all have the emo crooked hairstyle.
Also, is Bob the name of your manager at Twink Tank?
No. Aventurine and Kaveh are in charge. Aventurine's really in charge, and then Kaveh's the one underneath him. That's like my chain of command.
Oh yeah,
okay.
Kaveh's underneath him.
But if Kevin were to show up, he beats the whole chain of command.
Fucking Kevin.
Where's the Kevin merch? I gotta get some. Has never played Honkai Impact the third.
I just wanted to say, who the fuck is Kevin?
Oh, you forgot.
No, I remember who he is, but I just liked it because you went on and on about him. And I was like, who the fuck is Kevin?
He sometimes goes by Finon.
Yeah, he's the myth, the man, the legend.
Oh, okay.
He is. Anyway, Kevin is not here, unfortunately. So, yeah, but, sometimes Albedo covers at Twink Tank. It really depends. Kaya's definitely, like, he's been, like, the celeb bartender a few times. Like, we're having fun. Definitely check us out. Twink Tank. Wink. So Yelan is not a twink, but she's definitely come visit us at the Twink Tank before. She knows how to have a good time, but I've caught her running gambling rings in the back room, and we're going to have a conversation about that later. So before we jump too far into Yelan's story, lore, all of that jazz, I wanted to do a really quick recap of the governmental situation over in Liyue, because one of Yelan's big things that is associated with her is the fact that she works for the Ministry of Civil Affairs. But if you ask Ganyu has no idea what the Ministry of Civil Affairs does. And if Ganyu doesn't know, who does?
Doesn't she work for the Ministry of Civil Affairs?
She does. They're actually the ones who told her to keep an eye on Yao Yao. But she really has no idea what's happening.
Well, they do all kinds of stuff. Like the Ministry of Civil Affairs, they do intelligence gathering / resource management, I think is what they call it in some places. They do public safety. They manage the Lantern Rite Festival. They do maritime authority. They do commerce regulation, labor and tax, the mail system, and legal dispute mediation.
Oh, yeah, they.
Do you think Ganyu's just like overwhelmed and that's why she's like, we do everything, so I have no idea what that means?
I think she like looks at the list and she's like, Yelan's not on here. I don't know what you're talking about. The little section is not here.
Yeah. So the Ministry of Civil Affairs works under the Qixing. And as a reminder, those are the 7 stars of Liyue, aka 7 merchants and people who are leaders in their area who specialize in different sectors that come to lead. And we've only met 3 of those stars of Liyue in the game. And they're Ningguang, who's Tianchan, Keqing, who is a Yuang, and Uncle Tian, who is the Tianshu. So Ningguang is overall in charge of the Qixing and therefore the Ministry of Civil Affairs. Now, you just said Ganyu doesn't see Yelan listed anywhere in there.
Well, she should be under intelligence gathering, but she's not actually listed in any of the rosters.
Yeah, most of her colleagues have no idea who Yelan is and they don't know the name.
Right.
And it's also noted that she doesn't, quote unquote, work for a majority of the year. AK, no one is seeing her work, is how I kind of took that.
She's working, but she's absent. Like, no one sees her.
Yeah, but it seems like her coworkers think she's not working, which I'm with you,
Yeah.
Brandon. She totally is.
Except Kuching.
Kuching knows she's doing something.
Kuching has good things to say about her. She's like really thorough and gets the job done very immaculately, or I forget exactly what she said, but something along those lines. So she actually has good things to say. But for some reason, Ganyu's like, huh?
Who's she? What?
Yeah.
What does she do?
Where am I? Who am I?
Am I asleep in a field again? A lot of like members of the Millith, they actually say that the organization is understaffed. And they're like, there's so much that we have to do, and we do not have enough manpower to do it.
Just give it to Kuching.
Yeah.
And now is this the actual Millilith, like the Liyue Millilith, not the Inazuma Millilith?
The actual Millilith, yeah.
Another interesting thing that is related back to Yelan with the Ministry of Civil Affairs is that they have a special attention list, which includes the likes of ourselves, Beidou, and some of the Adepti. And they have an even more classified list that no one else is allowed to see except for the Qixing and Yelan, because Yelan actually made both of the lists, which, fuck you, Yelan, take me off. I'm not suspicious.
It's not necessarily suspicious. The special attention list is really just people that have remarkable abilities that have the actual power to potentially do, some damage to Liyue, but it doesn't mean that they necessarily will. Because she also has Adepti on there, and the Adepti's whole thing is like protecting Liyue.
I don't know. Sometimes Cloud Retainer scares me.
Why did she have Beta on there, though?
Yeah, well, your Cloud Retainer issues are from something else, ma'am.
The fact that I haven't done her story quest yet.
No, they were there before that. That's the reason you haven't done her story quest.
Yeah, because now I hate her. And I can keep on the hate. I'm just a hater.
Justice for Cloud Retainer.
Never. Justice for Amanda.
You're like, what about me?
Yeah, like, fuck Cloud Retainer. Guys. But anywho. So, Yelan. That I just wanted to make sure we kind of went over that because we haven't really talked about a Liyue character in a while who has connections to the governmental structure. So I just want to make sure we took a quick second to review that. We do have, if you listen to any of our episodes on Ningguang or Keqing, we go into a lot more detail on it. So you can definitely check those out.
I just wanted to step back, and I don't think you said who's on the secret intelligence list.
No, well, how do we know?
Well, there are possibilities of who is on it. So the special attention list, we know that Beidou, Traveler, and some Adepti are on it. And the secret intelligence list, it doesn't say who's on it. It just says it's much more classified, and that these are like the quote unquote real threats to Liyue. And it possibly includes Fatui Harbingers, members of the Abyss Order, and some of the gods.
Not the gods.
Some of the gods.
It's just Venti. They're like, he will get drunk. He will fuck up.
Maybe I'm assuming the Saritsa, but I don't know if they're talking about maybe some other ones.
I'm sure for a while it could have even been A. She's pretty scary.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, we still have some other gods that aren't archons, right?
Yeah, that's true. The Thunderbird. Well, no, I guess the Thunderbird is a
manifestation.
Yeah, manifestation.
That's actually in her name. The Thunder's manifestation.
You know who's like officially though on the secret intelligence list, just in some really small font?
Who?
Kevin.
Fucking Kevin.
There's just a Kevin listed.
Just written very small at the bottom.
With a period. A period.
Ampersand Kevin, period.
Period. So Yelan, though, we don't really know a lot about Yelan's childhood or anything like that. We know she comes from what she calls a clan.
Right.
And she lives kind of out in the middle of nowhere. That was how I understood it.
Yeah.
But that's like all we really know about her upraising.
She's a mystery.
We know more about her further ancestors than we do her like immediate family.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we find out that Yelan, she's like kind of at first, until you learn more, weirdly obsessed with the chasm. And it almost feels like she's searching for answers, which we find out later she definitely is. But it feels like she's trying to prevent something. Like she's almost like unhealthily obsessed with it.
Yeah, she used to spend like a lot of time in the chasm just staring into its depths, which is so goth.
So goth. Even Xiao is like admires her for exploring the chasm. He's like, so goth. Good job. You can join my club any day. But yeah, Yelan has these two ancestors who are brothers, Boyang and Rongzhao. And Boyang is the older brother, and Rongzhao is the younger. And they were both people who fought 500 years ago at the chasm during the cataclysm.
Mhm.
And we find out a little bit more about them in the Perilous Trail storyline later on. But we basically know that these two fought along Bosacius, who is one of the Yakshas, the purple one, the one that went missing, quote unquote, during the cataclysm. And Rongzhao, he survived and he helped them seal this abyssal monster in the chasm. But he ended up losing his mind a little bit because of Bosacius's karma.
Right. So Boyan and Bosacius were kind of fighting side by side, fighting all these things that were spilling out of the abyss. And then the only way to protect everyone was to seal themselves inside. So Rangzhou helped seal them in, which means Boyan died alongside Bosacius. But because Bosacius had lost his mind before the cataclysm, like he had disappeared for a while and then resurfaced during the cataclysm, but as Cray Cray Bosacius.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, and because Boyang and Rangzhou were fighting alongside him and exposed to him so much, and because Rangzhou didn't have a vision, Bosacius's karma, we've talked about like that karmic debt that Xiao has. Bosacius obviously had the same thing, so that it was kind of contaminating everyone around him. So when Rangzhou, he survives and gets back up to the surface, but he later goes insane from being exposed to Cray Cray Bosacius and his karma.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Xiao, he has a fear of getting too close to people because of this.
Mm-hmm.
And just to throw it out there, we do have an episode about Xiao and the other Yakshas, and
it's episode 6.
oh my God, episode 6?
Yeah, all the way back in season 1, episode 6.
Damn.
Oh my God.
And we go through the Perilous Trail storyline as well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is we go through the Perilous Trails pretty thickly, and we talk a lot about the Yakshas overall. So we're going to eventually get into some light gossip about it. But just so you guys know, if you want to check out a more detailed rendition of what is going on down there, you can check out that episode as well.
And you know what's interesting about Rangzhou's insanity is the only time it would sort of temporarily be relieved is when he would walk past Wangshu Inn and was near Xiao.
Really?
Yeah, it's almost like Zhao's karmic debt was canceling out Bosacius's. Isn't that odd?
Like the opposite sides of a magnetic force.
Yeah. I'm like, why didn't anyone just track down Xiao and like attach Rang Zhao to him?
Like, here, you got a buddy.
Yeah. Here, you got a roommate.
Yeah.
Look at someone who can actually be around you, and it makes them better.
I wonder if it's because Xiao is eating his sweet dreams.
It's almond tofu. Yeah.
I don't know. It's very interesting. And Yelan didn't know any of this. And she had always been very curious about what had happened to her ancestors after the chasm. Because in the aftermath of all of this, it really impacted the family. Like they kind of had one brother dead and another brother who ended up becoming kind of like an elder in the group who had lost his mind and did not seem to be himself. And she makes it sound like it really tore their family apart. Although she goes into no details on how that's affecting the modern day family or clan, but she really makes it seem like this was not good for her family. And I feel like she's so obsessed with it because she wants to fix her family, but she never says that. It's just thoughts.
Yeah, it's weird because she talks about it like she had this natural draw to the depths of the chasm, and she suspected it was like within her bloodline. And, when you go through the Perilous Trail storyline and she finds out everything that happened down in the chasm, she really says that it kind of marks a new chapter in her life. And she realizes that this attraction to danger that she has, which we'll talk about is because she is the descendant of heroes. So she knew that something that was drawing her to the chasm was something like in her bloodline or in her innately that was passed down. And she thought that it had something to do with like, oh, I really like danger. I'm really attracted to danger for some reason. And it has something to do with the chasm. And she thought maybe it was something bad. But after learning everything that happened back then during the Perilous Trail story, she suddenly realizes that her attraction to danger is because she is a descendant of heroes. And, you know, those heroes, their spirits were trapped in the chasm before that story, the Perilous Trail. And so she no longer thinks of her thrill seeking as like this ominous thing, but instead she sees it as like a calling to follow in her heroic ancestors' footsteps. And she kind of resolves to keep doing it to like inspire later generations to also follow in her footsteps. So I thought that was kind of a cool storyline, like a cool arc for her. Is she's kind of like, she was always wondering like where this kind of behavior in her was coming from, and knew that it was something natural and that it was passed down, but couldn't really explain it. I think she thought that she might be cursed or something. And then she finds out, oh, it's not because there was something bad in my family. It's because there were heroes in my family.
Yeah.
It'd be funny though if like, because we don't know about the immediate family, like she got home, like went to go visit them, be like, hey, guess what I found out? And like the aunt's like, I knew that. Why'd you
Yeah,
do that?
literally.
Maybe if you came for family dinner every once in a while, you would know these things.
I love the idea of Yelan having like an aunt from Staten Island or something.
Yeah. Just that like real Italian aunt.
Yeah.
Well, if you came to Pasta
What are you
Wednesdays,
doing?
you know.
If you came and hung out with your family.
Yeah, and weren't you supposed to pick Vinny up from jail?
Surprised you're not in jail. All the shenanigans you're up to.
How you posting bail? We know you've been arrested. Where's the bail money? Why aren't you helping us? Like
I want you to know that my little Italian hand is going with that too.
So is mine.
You can't do it without making the hand gestures.
And now I'm thinking of like rainbow cookies. Like, fuck. Now I'm hungry. And where's my Italian aunt to bring me snacks? But, you know, it's very main character energy from Yelan. Like, she's like, I'm the main character, bitch. And I'm like, are you? Because I don't remember the last time I saw you. Like,
yes.
You were here for, like, Lantern, right? And then you were gone again. So, and you're in a throuple. You can't be the main character if you're in a throuple.
Well,
you can be the main character in a throuple. It just depends on the dynamic of your throuple.
Well, not in this throuple.
yeah, this throuple's not.
When you have Ningguang and Beidou going against you.
Yeah, there's no way.
When we have one of those like infamous conversations when she shows up, it's in the event story with Madame Ping telling us about Woba that we see this interaction between the three of them. And it feels like, you know, you can kind of like point out a few events and stuff that she was in back then, and then she disappeared. Like she did show up other places, and then it was like she's out on a mission somewhere, and Genshin's like, we can't bring her back.
She's a Twink Tank, guys. It's fine.
Yeah, she's playing chess in the back room with Ningguang and Beidou.
And Aventurine. He just shows up for fun every now and then. He's like, hey, guys.
I don't know if that throuple has room for Aventurine.
There's always room for Aventurine. But when Yelan was released, we actually also got a story quest for her, and it also shows us nothing about her childhood, but it shows how important she is to Liyue, even if people don't know and she's been MIA.
Even if she's been away.
Even though we have no idea where the fuck she is.
That's the way she wants it.
She wants to be in the background.
I think I kind of like that she's very absent, because that matches her character, you know?
In her story quest, we end up finding out that she's actually being asked to interview some new people for work. So it's like, in case you weren't tired of work, we went to work with Yelan. It was Bring Your Traveler to Work Day for Yelan. Through the beginning of it, basically, we find out that Uncle Tian, who is the Tianshan of the Qixing, like Amanda already said, he's the policymaker in there, and he's not feeling well. And his daughter, Hoishan, is very concerned. She's kind of like, there's something I don't really know. And he's just like, I'm getting old. It's time to retire. I need to find a successor.
I'm feeling sick all the time.
But he's like, I'm so tired. I can't do all the work. So I've hired Yelan to actually do the work for me. And she's going to do the assessment of the 3 nominees, the 3 candidates that I found. And then he basically explains, like, once he has his pick, the Qixing still has to vote on it. But it's almost like he's saying, here, Yelan, you pick out of these 3 and that'll be, we throw over to Ningguang and see if it sticks.
Yeah.
But his position is also very in the shadows and not very public and stuff like that. And she makes a joke like, hey, why don't you just hire me? Like, why don't I get the job? And he's like, you've worked with Ningguang too long. She is not going to let me take you and give you this job. And she's just like, whatever. And I was like, yeah, Ningguang's like, you can't work with me. We can't have that kind of dynamic.
Conflict of interest.
Yeah. Beto is here way too much.
There'd be too many HR forms to fill out.
Seriously.
I need you in the shadows and away from Beto at all times.
But he says to her, if you think these 3 nominees suck ass, I'll nominate you. Exact words.
Exact words from the dying man.
Yeah. It was, if you think they suck. That was my dying man voice. It wasn't good.
If you think they suck ass, I will nominate you.
So, of course, we have to go meet the candidates, too. And we find out we head over to the other part of the harbor to go meet these folks. And first we see these 3 dudes just kind of bickering. Sometimes the game really tries to tell you everything before you find it out. So there's a dude who's complaining that he's a dick. And he's like, I can't believe I have to stand here and wait to have this assessment. This is ridiculous. And then there's another guy who's just like, well, you know what? Maybe you should just give them a break. We can sit down, all this stuff. He's just like, I think you're just being unreasonable. Then there's a third one who's like, let's just compromise. We can make it all nice.
And this porridge was just right.
Totally. I'm going to call them by initials at some point because I am not going to get their names right.
I got you. It's Qianwei, the arrogant one, Mingbo, the nervous Nelly, and Ji, the perfect one.
Ji, I swear that they were saying it Jerry.
I didn't rewatch it, so maybe they were saying it.
They were saying Jerry. Jerry.
Oh, interesting.
Jerry? I'm making him French. If it's Zhang, so we know the ZH is Jerry. Jerry.
Zendaya. That's what I got out of that.
Jerry. It's
This
Jerry.
is our new ASMR podcast. Jerry.
So we have the dick, we have Bingbo.
The dick, Mingbo, and perfect.
And Jerry.
Yeah, Jerry. Yeah, Jerry.
I appreciate the names. I really do. And I am not making fun of them at all. I'm making fun of myself. Please understand that.
It's the fact that we literally all talked about how we went to speech therapy for years, a few episodes back. We try, we really do. So we just laugh at ourselves.
I've been repeating them all day, and I've written them down literally as because I can't even spell them all that well. So it's QM and Z in all my notes.
I like the dick.
The
cool guy.
The dick, the Mimbo,
nervous Nelly,
and Jerry,
and the perfect one, and Jerry. Yeah, and Jerry.
Oh, Jerry.
Oh, Jerry.
Oh, Jerry.
Jerry.
Did you guys ever watch the TV show Strangers with Candy?
Yes.
No, because I was taught never to take candy from strangers.
It's the show from the 90s. I think it's from the 90s, and it stars Amy Sedaris, Stephen Colbert,
What?
and Paul Danilo. And it's like a parody of after school specials. And Amy Sedaris plays a character named Jerry Blank. And Jerry is a boozer, a user, and a loser. And so the whole concept is she's like a 42-year-old high school freshman who like spent years doing hard drugs and prostituting herself, and now she's going back to school to start over and learn all the things that she should have. And it makes fun of like really like cringy, cheesy after school specials, but it's like a 42-year-old ex-prostitute with an overbite who just talks about drugs all the time. It's one of the funniest shows of all time.
Okay.
Some of the humor might not age well. I don't know. I haven't watched it in a while, but it is hilarious.
Mhm.
And Stephen Colbert and Paul Dinello play like closeted teachers in the high school, but we're just like constantly like trying to hide their romance from everyone. It's very, very good.
All right. I'm adding it to the list.
So anytime you say Jerry, I'm thinking Jerry Blank. And we got to show a picture of Jerry Blank.
Okay. I'll make sure that that's on the site.
Yeah.
So now we got to go back to work with Yelan. She's like, here, all these guys have to write a manifesto. And basically, they're telling us what they want to do if they get the job. And they have to stick to it. Like, this is kind of like in stone. You get the job, you have to do this as you wrote it. So there's these 3 piles of papers on the desk. One is huge, and somebody's an overachiever, Jerry. Then there's other 2 that are normal. So we have to read through them all. So this way we can get acquainted with these people so we can help with the assessment. So basically, in like a short way, like Jerry is very much into like domestic and foreign affairs, and he's focusing on problem solving. And then the Dick is too worried about like commercial stuff, and he's focused on regulations. And Nervous Nelly, I was about to call him Mingbo again, but Nervous Nelly is better. He's, he wants there for the greater good. So we're like, okay, we got it. We're good. Let's talk to these dudes. The Dick comes over and he continues the attitude. And then on top of it, he's a condescending little asshole because he's like, I really thought that I would have been having this conversation with Ningguang, but instead I'm talking to you nobodies. And you guys aren't even going to be able to understand what I'm writing about in here. Like, you're just dumb.
Diva alert.
And Paimon even goes, you better watch your tone. And I was like, this, if you're playing as Lumine too, it's like this dude just came over and just tried to mansplain the government to you in Yelan. It's like, dude, what the hell? So we're like, okay, next, we kind of see the Nervous Nelly. He's very unsteady. He's very nervous. He's just spouting data all over the place. You could tell he's not a public speaker. And then Jerry comes over and he tells, I'm pretty nervous about this and stuff. But then he starts going, he's elegant. He knows everything. He starts talking about this, that, and the other thing. And it's going to be fantastic once I have this position. So we're like, oh, you know what? He actually sounds a lot like Uncle Tian. And he kind of has a lot of things, like a lot of his views and stuff are very similar. So Yelan's kind of like, that's interesting. So we go back and we talk to Tian, and he fesses up that he's worked with all 3 of these guys. And the one who's worked with him the longest is Jerry. Jerry not only has been working for him really long, they go fishing. They make soup. They have a grand old time. They're always hanging out together. And he looks at him kind of like, it's almost like he treats him like he's the son he doesn't have because he has a daughter. So, we're like, okay, that checks out. We understand. It totally seems like, you like this guy. Like he seems, like he's kind of like following your footsteps. But Yelan's like, that just doesn't seem right though. Like there's got to be something. So all of a sudden she's got goons and they show up.
That's my favorite part.
Yeah.
It's just like Ayato.
Yeah.
Snaps her fingers with an uneven haircut and blue hair, and there's guys.
Yeah, dudes show up.
How do I get that?
Seriously. Like, can you please go find out dirt on my nemesis? Off you go. So she sends them off to look at the other 2, but she's like, I'm going to look at Jerry myself, and Traveler, you're coming with me. So we go down to the docks.
It's a stakeout.
Yeah.
Not really a stakeout. It's intel gathering.
Yeah. So we go down to the docks. We talk to this one guy who, as he's telling us how awesome Jerry is, he's like, you know what? I should hire Jerry. Maybe you guys shouldn't hire Jerry. I should hire Jerry. I need him to promote my shit. So we're like, okay. We go on to another person. Well, before we even get on to the next one, we do see Jerry walking around with a merchant, and he seems to be buying a gift. So you're like, oh, is he buying something for, like, he's trying to butter us up with some wine wares?
Ooh, always gets me.
Mm-hmm. buy me some wine wares. So we go on. We're kind of like, are we looking too deep into like trying to find dirt? And Paimon's even kind of questioning it. And she's just like, well, you know, if you help me, I'll buy you some food. And basically, because Paimon starts insinuating, like, are you only trying to find dirt so this way these guys don't get the job and it gets offered to you? And she's like, if I had the job, I would have all this good food and I'd need to share it with people. And you're like, this little bitch is corrupt now too. Like, my emotions are all over the place at this point. I don't know who to trust. Paimon's hungry. She's just going to go with the food.
That's what she does.
Mm-hmm.
She creates chaos.
So we head down to a wharf though, and we're like, okay, let's go talk to more people. Paimon's on board because we got food involved. We go to the wharf where he goes fishing a lot, and we talk to a fishmonger who's basically like, that guy's had such a tough life, but he's such a good dude. He's not a very good fisher. He's not good at it. It's like, I buy some fish off of him just because I feel bad for him. But what a good guy he is. Like, all right. Go talk to another fishmonger. And he's like, oh, that guy, his parents are dead. He's been poor his whole life. He's just trying to get by. There's no way, because Yelan's making up stories every time she's talking to them. So this way they don't know who she is. So she's like, we're looking for somebody who's selling their fish too cheap. And he's like, that would never be him. And we're like, okay, like this guy is just kind of like, oh, poor guy. He's had such a hard life. He's always been poor, still is poor. And we head over to a kid. Now she's lying to a kid. And Paimon's like, this bitch is lying to a child.
Not that Paimon wouldn't do that.
I mean, if food was involved, Paimon would do it. But, she's just like making up a story, talking to the kid. And the kid's like, of course, gets on board with it. He ends up spilling some beans that it's only been like a few months or so that everybody's actually been talking really good about Jerry. Before that, people didn't really like him. And now there's all of a sudden there's all these extra people walking around and talking about him, but it's only been recent. So Yelan's like, well, if Jerry's poor, I mean, he couldn't be affording to have some like good campaign going on because now she just assumes that he's paying off everybody to make him sound great. And she even says that's not against the rules. You can go ahead. It's like politics, like everywhere. You can have a campaign and you can pay people and you could have actors. Nobody said you couldn't. But she's like, but if he's poor, and like the one fishmonger said, he's still poor, how can he afford to have like a campaign like this? Like that means somebody's got to be footing the bill. So she's like, we need to figure out who this is. Like who's actually paying for Jerry to be number one.
It's not me. I don't have that type of cash. Just so you guys know.
I'm glad that you told us because you were my number one thought.
I'm typically on the top of the list for funding evil masterminds.
The goons come back. They find out some info on the other dudes, and the other dudes are just kind of like normal. They're like, yeah, everybody thinks they're good at what they do. Blah blah blah. Yelan's not. She doesn't care. These other people really could have been walking around murdering people, and she would have just been like Jerry. So like she's zoned in on him. So. She, after like kind of going through everything, kind of like goes back to the manifesto and is looking at stuff. She kind of deduces, he's kind of saying like one of the things he wants to do in there is they're going to do some mining and stuff over at the Jiang Pool where Ajdaha is. And there's some theories, though, that there's treasure under there and that you really can't get to the treasure unless you have like some crazy explosives to be able to go under there. So she's like, okay, so is there some other kind of like scheme to get this unknown treasure? He names an actual company like that's gonna do the work. Yeah, like he's like serious because you have to stick to the plan. It's very strange that they're very quick on this too. So they're like, let's go talk over to the Black Cliff Forge and see what we can figure out over there. And we find out that there's some newcomers been working there and that everybody we're talking to, nobody really likes the newcomers. And like this one dude's like, they go drinking every night in Liyue Harbor and they don't invite anybody. They always go by themselves and blah, blah, blah. And we're like, that's pretty far to go just to go drinking every night. So, but the guy says, but they couldn't go tonight because it was raining. So of course there's footsteps. So we follow those back and we're able to figure out that like, we're kind of like trying to figure out, like, we see that the footsteps don't go back to Liyue Harbor. They go to this like abandoned home and we find like burnt papers, like as if somebody left the area. Like things had just been like kind of like any evidence has been taken. And according to Yelan, you can smell the ashes and figure out where people are from. She is smelling paper. She's like, I know what this paper smells like. It smells. It's like, this paper smells like some patooey.
I'd love to know how. Does each Fatui have their own scent? Child versus Pantalone.
Doesn't she say it's like floral?
She says it's basically because of the region that they're from. Like, yeah, whatever you would make the pulp from for the paper out of has different scents because it would be different things that you would have from your area. I just like the idea that they got stinky papers.
They probably do.
You stinky. But then, like, a goon, her goons, of course, show back up. They're like, I went talking to more fishermen. Nobody knows this guy. And she's like, well, what about, like, the guy that he bought the soup recipe from? And we're like, why are you bringing up the soup, lady? He's just like, nobody sold him soup. And, you're in the story kind of being like, this is like, you're really sticking with this, aren't you? Like, there's something up. So she's like, I have a plan. Come by in the morning and we're going to name him the candidate and we're going to see what happens. So we're like, okay, the next day, Yelan names Jerry the candidate. And the first thing he does is offers the other two, like, hey, you want to work with us? And guess who doesn't want to work with him? The dick. He's just like, I gotta go. I can't be talking to you. I didn't win. I'm out.
Same.
Yeah. He's like, I don't want to hang out with the person who just beat me. So now we're going to go follow him and stuff and figure out, like, because now he's like, I'm all happy and I need to celebrate and stuff. So the goons and us go try and follow him to see what's up with him. And we find out from one of the goons that he went into the one store and then a guy came out who was dressed completely different. And the one guy was like, I think that's Jerry. The other one's like, I don't know. That's not what he was wearing. But then they lose him, like, in the crowd. So we're like, okay, let's go check out in the kiosk. And we asked the guy, and the guy's like, I don't have a wardrobe, like, requirement for people. I don't pay attention. They're like, but yeah, he came in here and he picked up this really fiery alcohol. Like, it's really strong stuff. So we're like, okay.
Firewater.
So we're like, maybe he's going to be celebrating with, whoever's, like, funding his whole campaign. And then we're like, well, he picked up those wine wares too. Let's go talk to that lady. And we find out that he got 2 wine glasses to go along with his thing. So we're like, okay. We're like, he's definitely going to meet up with whoever's paying the bill. The one goon finds out kind of where he's going, but they're kind of like losing him still at the same time. Like, they kind of like, he knows that somebody's watching him, but we're like, not really sure if, they're actually following him or what. So we head over to the Jingzhou pool. And it's all the ruins and stuff like that. And she's like, there's an entrance for the construction workers. We're going to go in there. And lo and behold, here's Mr. Jerry sitting at a little table with a Fatui ambassador.
Damn it. We thought you were a star pupil.
Nope. Jerry was crooked all along. So we're standing out in the distance and listening. Like, they're hanging out there and, like, they're like, let's have a drink. And the Fatui guy, if we thought the dick was a dick, this guy is arrogant too. But he's a Fatu, I guess that kind of goes along with it. And he's just like, oh, you should drink some of this. It's so good. It's from my people. He's like, it's strong. And the guy, like, Jerry chokes on it because he's just like, oh, this is so strong.
I know D-Luke couldn't even take the firewater. Like, we expect random ass Jerry to take it.
So they're just talking, and the ambassador's just like, that was a really good job you did poisoning your teacher with the fish soup. Out of nowhere. You just say these things. I mean, they think they were private, but you did good there by putting it in the fish soup. Like, that was good that you thought of that. And that you said, oh, it'll be disguised. And Jerry's just like, yes, I knew that it wouldn't be able to be found in the soup. He's like, but I felt so bad every time I did it that I'd have to go, like, hide for days because I felt so bad that I was poisoning this man. He's like, I was so afraid I was going to get caught. And I'm like, are you sad that you were murdering somebody slowly or that you were going to get caught murdering somebody slowly?
Depends on what level of psychosis he's in.
Yeah. So the ambassador guy, his name is Yusupov. He's like, we have good ideas with you. Once we get through this, digging through and finding this treasure over here, the Fatui has different ideas for you. Things are going to be great. It's fantastic. Yelan has us taking pictures, making sure that we have everything. They're like, we should kill Tian. And they're like, she's like, let's just see. The grand finale is going to get better. And all of a sudden, the dude's like slurring and he is so drunk and he is just like chatting it up and going on and on about all these things that he's going to have this great job. And he's just like, I need some more alcohol. And Jerry's like, oh, there's only this little bit left. And he pours it for him. And within like seconds, the dude's on the floor and he's like, oh, you're poisoning me. And Jerry's like, yes, I am. He's like, I'm not only poisoning you, but I'm going to blow this shit up. So this way, nobody even knows that I was working with you because this is my job. And he's like, you wouldn't have gotten this job without the Fatui. And Jerry's like, it doesn't matter because they're not going to know.
And meanwhile, I'm like as shook as like Mr. Krabs. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, because you don't expect it. He's like, see that pile of hay over there? There's explosives. You know those 3 undercover guys you got working for Black Cliff Forge? They're in the other room. They're going to blow up too. And then nobody's going to know. And I've left clues to make it seem like, oh, that you guys are trying to do all this nefarious stuff. And it's never going to come back to me. And Yusupov goes, ha ha ha. You forgot about one thing. And Jerry just turns around coyly and he goes, oh, you're second in command, Theophan? And you, like the Yusuf is like, oh no, he knows. And he's like, oh, I was talking to him. He's like, and he's on my side because you know what? He's going to kind of, if you die, he gets to get your job. So he's kind of helping me out. Actually, he told me which booze to get that you would drink that you wouldn't be able to taste the poison. He's like, the poison is in the bottle and all I need to do is swift it around for you to drink. And that's all from your dude.
Which, like, can I just say that I did the story quest right away, unlike others, and I was shook. I could not believe this was happening. This seems so dark at the time.
Yeah, I know. It really did seem like a detective movie. Like it was just all out there because you're just watching it all too, like all unfold in front of you. And Yelan's like, "There's more. There's always more." So finally, though, we do bust out. We're like, haha, we heard it all. We know what you did, what you're trying to do. You're not going to kill anybody. You know, there's some drama, like Yelan, like he uses her arrow to like frighten him. Like if he's got like a torch full of fire, sometimes these things make me laugh. Is this torch of fire and she like uses her bow and points it right at the fire thing and it goes down on the ground and it's very dramatic. It's very, very dramatic. And it reminded me of a time that that Beans and I went to Mondstadt, and I actually did it as Yelan over at the big tree, and she stood over by the bridge, and I was shooting arrows over, and you could see them from one side to the other. It was really cool.
Albedo got hit.
I mean, that's
He
some
didn't
good.
deserve it.
That's some good aiming, though. You know, gotta give me that.
I suffered.
Well, we head back, talking about suffering, we head back over to the tea house and find out that we see Baiju was actually helping Tian recoup and is like, you know what, you're lucky because in a few days it's really would have started killing you, but you're going to be back to normal in the next few years.
Years.
Not the next few days. Years, you'll be fine.
Chong Chong, bite me, for God's sake.
Yeah. And Chong Chong's kind of like, wow, these Fatui, they know so much. How did they find this rare poison? Like she's just like, where can I get some?
How do I poison Baiju?
Yeah. So Yelan shows up though and says like, you know, she tried to like strike a deal with Jerry to kind of find out like, you know, who he was working with because she has a hard on for the Regrator. She basically wanted to use the Theophan guy to like turn him so this way they would have a spy on the inside, but he disappeared, which Fatui guy disappeared. He's dead.
He's not dead.
He's probably dead.
Hanging with child.
He's dead.
With Pantalone.
Yeah. Vibing.
We got to look for Theophan. I think he's dead.
Tiff all last week was like, Royce is dead. Now she's like, Theophan's dead.
I mean, but there's a
Everyone's
good
dead.
chance that the Fatui guy is dead.
No.
Swimming with the fishes.
Yes. Mhm.
Oh God, Navia. Okay.
You know, so she basically, her whole thing is she wants to get the Regrator, and she's glad that, you know, Tian is feeling better, and he's like, hey, you know what, do you want this job? And she's like, oh no I don't want this job. She's just like, I was just joking with you before. She's like, I really just wanted, she's like, why would I even waste my time on such a case like this? It was only because I was trying to get more info on on Regrator because I know he had to be involved.
Mhm.
Basically, Tian's just like, I think maybe I feel good enough to find my own people. And then there's this like cutscene where like you see Tian being like all buddy with Jerry, who's breaking his heart. And he's like, they were fishing buddies. And he was being all nice to him. And he tried to kill him. Just seems so wrong. But Tian's kind of like, yeah, I kind of knew.
I knew, but I still ate all the soup.
Yeah. She's like, you didn't know about the soup. She's like, I knew that you had to think something because why else would you have hired me to look into them? And he's like, well, at first I just thought like, oh, this guy's buddying up with me because he wants my job. But then I really thought that he just was like, a good boy.
Hmm.
And it turns out he just wanted my job.
So can we talk about, part of the reason that Yelan turns down the job
Mhm.
is it would be too boring for her. It wouldn't be thrilling enough or dangerous enough. And this girl has an addiction to danger.
Hmm.
Like her thrill seeking is, I think, one of the more interesting things about her character because they don't often go into something like that with characters. Like a lot of them are sort of like goody goodies, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And she lives by the philosophy that blandness is synonymous with blindness, while thrills afford clarity. And of course, after Perilous Trail, we know that it's likely caused by her ancestors' heroic blood that sort of draws her to this.
Is that real?
Hmm?
Like, can like the heroic blood of my ancestors really like make me something? Like, I don't know. That's so sus. I think she just needs a reason for it.
I believe it because you have people getting turned into hilly trolls because of their blood.
That's true. All right, fine.
They love to do stuff like that. I mean, I see what you're saying though. Like maybe it's just she's attributing it to something that is just innate within herself. But either way, she is this thrill seeker. And the way that it sort of shows itself in her behavior is interesting. Like one of the things is that she only likes spicy food. And it's not just like a little spicy. Like Xiangling's food is not spicy enough for her. And it's to the point where she will eat raw Jueyun chilies.
Like a psychotic person.
Yeah. It's like enough to make Xiangling be like, whoa.
Yeah, and Yelan has like a quote about it too, where she's like, Zhongling just doesn't get it. I eat the chilies this way because it's a family thing. And I'm like, okay, hero bloodline. Got it.
I'm so heroic. I need to eat chilies.
Yeah, like girl.
But she enjoys pain as sort of where that leads.
Mm.
And they talk about this, when she's like constantly going to Boo Boo Pharmacy when she gets injured in one of her many disguises, which I think is hilarious.
She's like a mimic. I hate it. She's like a fucking shapeshifter.
Yeah, she must like really like, I mean, how does Baiju not see through it?
Yeah.
Maybe she's really good at like prosthetics. She's like does prosthetic makeup.
Yeah, because they make a point to say that it's like different aged people. It's
Like she'll go as an old person.
yeah, someone from Mondstadt, someone from Inazuma. And Chang Chang's actually over there just going like, this bitch. She thinks we don't know.
Yeah. That's what I'm wondering. Like, does someone know? But either way, when she goes there, like all of these characters that she brings to the pharmacy, they all have, two things in common. One is that they're very curious, and the other is that they enjoy pain. And she talks about how, she likes the sting of the herbal remedy on her cuts, or she likes the dull ache of pressure on her bruises. And I'm like, damn, this bitch is kinky. It's just interesting. It's like, and it's a part of her thrill seeking nature is like, if she's not in pain, then she's not having fun. And she finds traveling and like roaming the land very bland, which, most people would find traveling kind of exciting. She's like, no, it's boring. And her whole thing with her dice is that she actually rolls the dice just to decide how to pass time. And it goes all the way down to like mundane things. Like in her birthday mail, she mentions that she rolls her dice and that's why she ended up growing flowers as a pastime. She was like, well, I rolled the dice and now I'm crossing growing flowers off my list of potential activities. So I just found that interesting. And the actual character story lore describes it in a way where it's like clear that they want you to know this about her. It says she dances with danger, secrets, and a strong sense of achievement. These are the vivid proof of her existence. And then she plucks the fruits of intelligence from the tree of danger for Ningguang, and in return, all she asks for is danger itself and the sense of achievement.
Which makes you really ask, what's going on at home? Like, what happened in her childhood? Like, Yelan has really suggested that her family was torn apart after the cataclysm. So is this like a really toxic, like, village of family members that she like to feel something and to feel seen has to get into danger because she's also had trauma from the danger. We learned that in her story about how she got her vision. Doesn't tell you exactly how
It's a little
she got her
vague.
vision,
Right.
but it's presumed that she got her vision when she used to have a team and the entire team died.
Yeah. Well, they were investigating the abyss, which is interesting. So she's been to the abyss.
And
Hmm.
when this whole team died, she kind of secluded herself. And it seems like she started training herself to no end, which definitely
Mhm.
shows her addiction to pain as well. Because when Ningguang goes to visit her, which she seldom does, because she's like, wow, I haven't heard from Yelan in so long. Something really bad must have happened. She shows up to check on Yelan, and Yelan shoots a arrow that dissipates into water right next to Ningguang's head. And when she turns around to look at Yelan, her hands are bloody and she's very clearly trained herself to the point of exhaustion. And Ningguang's definitely worried. And we used to joke that this was the scene that made us go, oh, they're exes. Like,
Right.
this is what Ningguang is checking on her ex because she's like, oh, Yelan at least nags me 3 times a week and I haven't seen her at all.
She's like, listen, I know it hurts you to see me and Beto together, but I just wanted to make sure you're okay. And Yelan's like, shoots arrow at face.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm better than fine, actually.
I have a vision now, and I'm living my best life.
Watch this, bitch. And then like she shoots this arrow like into the sky and it creates a whole like a rain, like a little isolated rain shower. And then like this pillar of light comes down and like lands on her hand, which the wording of this was really confusing because I couldn't tell if like this was the moment she was getting her vision, but then that wouldn't make sense because she already turned an arrow into water right before this.
Yeah.
So I think she probably just got her vision sometime during her seclusion and intense
Yeah.
training. But Ningguang believes that I guess the pillar of light sort of shining on her hand after she shoots that arrow in front of her is sending this message that she needs to leave all extraordinary matters to Yelan, because I think the reason that Yelan shot the arrow close to Ningguang to sort of express her anger is because, you know, I think Ningguang is the one who hired the other team members. And Yelan is sort of talking to Ningguang and is like, we both made the mistake of trusting ordinary people to do the extraordinary, and we can't ever do that again. She's like obviously blaming herself, but also partly blaming Ningguang for the
Yeah.
death of all of her
Yeah.
teammates. And so Ningguang is sort of like convinced in that moment, like, you know what, she's right, and I'm not going to hire any like normies to go out and do these things with her.
Yeah.
I'm just going to let her do it on her own.
Which really comes into play with Perilous Trail as well. But before we hop into that, I just want to say you mentioned that you think that maybe she got her vision during the training. I almost thought that she might have gotten her vision and that's what saved her life in the abyss, you know, as opposed to her teammates.
Mm-hmm.
And that she took this training to be like, I'm gonna figure out how the fuck to use this vision to the best of my ability so that this never happens again.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
But it's very unclear. They really do not do you any favors in explaining it.
Yeah.
Right.
But I want to just go over some stuff in Perilous Trail really quickly because it does connect back to a lot of this. And to start, it's like, you know, some time has passed since the chasm adventures have ended. So you have to finish like your chasm storylines to get in there. And this is after the Chasm Delver's quest. So once you finish that, you can get in there. And that's actually the first time we see Yelan. She knocks down the sky nail in the chasm and saves us with her arrow and like destroys the ruin serpent, I believe, and locks him in a cave lower down. So this is sometime later. We decide to go check out the sky nail again in the chasm. And when we get there, Yanfei's there. And we're like, hey girl, hey. And she looks at us and she's like, if anyone asks, I wasn't here. And she like drifts away, mumbling about important business. And we're like, okay, that was weird. And then all of a sudden, Kuki and Ito are there, and basically they tell us that Kuki is here to pick up her law degree because that's what you do when you do online schooling. Now, she just happened to be visiting home when the Sokoku degree happened, and she got stuck in Inazuma, so she came to get her law degree, and Ito came to quote-unquote protect her, but he's really just been a menace the entire time, and he's been fighting with the Millilith. And basically, Yanfei got them out of trouble earlier, and they're coming here to thank her. And we lie to them, and we get them to like leave us and go away. And we go down to the ground, and we find that Yanfei is still there, and we meet Yelan, and then Ito and Kuki quickly follow behind. And Yelan tells us that they need to leave. Like, you guys have to get the fuck out of here. It is way too dangerous for civilians like you. And that ties back, I think, to her vision story and that feeling of losing, you know, quote unquote, normal people to a fight. And of course, Ito does not take this lightly. And Ito's already mad because we lied to him. And him and Yelan are about to start fighting when a sinkhole basically appears in the ground, and we all fall through, and we're really deep in the chasm. And as we're trying to gather ourselves, we end up running into Xiao, and he tells us he's there looking for someone. And again, we're not going to go into too much detail. Basically, long story short, there's a lot going on. Ito's being headstrong, Yelan's being mysterious, and Xiao is not well. We enter a domain that shows us memories, and Yelan declines going into it because she says that if we saw certain memories, she'd have to kill us because of her work with Ningguang. And we're like, okay, cool. We eventually find this item called the Fantastic Compass. And the Fantastic Compass is an item that Yelan's ancestor actually created, Bo Yang. We don't know if Bo Yang created it, but we know he at least used it. But Yelan seems to suggest that her ancestors made it minimally. And it makes sense because her ancestors have also made the bracelet that she wears, which has like a magical spell in it that makes it to be a communication device with another bracelet, but that bracelet is missing, so she only has one bangle, and one day someone is going to contact her using the other bangle, and it's going to scare the shit out of her, in my opinion.
Could you imagine if you just had like a random walkie-talkie that for sentimental reasons you kept it for so long, and then just one day there was like creepy sounds coming out of it, like, Amanda, pick up the walkie-talkie.
I would be like, okay.
Of course you would. You'd be like, oh, it's hell calling me? Let me answer. This
is why I die first in the horror movies.
I mean, guys, it would be really rude if we didn't answer the door for the murderers on the other side.
Yeah, like what if they actually are giving us money? Come on.
She'll be at Baiju's pharmacy and it'll start talking. She'll be like, oh, I'm a ventriloquist. Like pulls out a little puppet.
It's just an albedo puppet too.
Yeah. The bracelet's like, hello. Is anyone there?
Now, somehow or another, Yelan ends up activating the compass. They realize that the compass has totally been used before, and Yelan leaves us to go figure it out, basically. She tries to figure it out. We all can take a breather. And long story short, she discovers that Bo Yang's fate was in the compass. And this is how she learns about her ancestors, the one who died, the one who went mad. And for the most part, the party is like, oh, that's all you found out? We thought you would find our escape plan. And like secretly, Yelan's like, yeah, but now I know the truth of the 500 years ago. And now I'm never going to let that happen to anyone ever again. I'm like, okay, Yelan, please calm down. Eventually, Paimon, who is very distraught and upset, knocks over the compass. And it says that Yanfei realized that from the compass, it was an exorcism catalyst made to repel demons using humans' magic art and adeptal power combined. So they theorize basically that Xiao and Yelan, because Yelan has human magic art and Xiao has adepti power, they need to work together to get them out. It's a beautiful cutscene, and Xiao ends up sacrificing himself or trying to, and Yelan's face is so devastated when he does that. Because I think for her, Xiao became a teammate in that moment, and now that teammate was gone. He does end up surviving. I almost feel like Yelan has some really bad PTSD about this event. So, like,
which is funny because so does Xiao.
Right. Well, I almost meant Yelan has PTSD from like the vision story, you know, going into the abyss. And so every time she almost loses someone, she freaks out now. And I think that's why she wants to work alone as well. Besides Ningguang and Yelan agreeing that they shouldn't trust commoners with certain things. Like, I think Yelan's like, I'd rather work alone because if I die, I die. I don't want this responsibility on my hands.
And Xiao was like, I will sacrifice myself because I too am traumatized. Just going to show that two PTSDs do not make a health.
Yes, they need to go see the therapist on Beto's boat. Which, just saying too, I love the parallels that they have created between Xiao and Yelan. I love that they are both people who have trauma stemming from the cataclysm, and that has kind of devastated their families. And they both go into the chasm in this story quest looking for answers. And they both find answers that I think are somewhat comforting to both of them. And I really wish we
Mhm.
got to see more of them together because they also have a mutual respect for one another. Xiao, right off the bat, before this quest line even happens, has a line about her that says that she has really great skills, and anyone who can investigate the chasm, like I've seen her do, like, is good shit. And on the other side, Yelan says that Xiao is like super respected by the people of her clan, and mentions the whole thing with the elder. And she's basically like, if I ever have the chance to work beside him, I'm going to do my best to not fangirl because we should just be responsible and work. But he's a pretty big deal where I come from. So I'd really love to see more of the two of them in the future working together.
They have a lot in common. They're both very solitary,
Mhm.
secretive, elusive,
Depressed,
depressed, traumatized.
traumatized.
Yeah.
Both somewhat have death wishes too. I think they're both
Hmm.
very self-sacrificing. They're willing to put
Yeah.
their life on the line in a way that a lot of others aren't.
Self-destructive.
And one thing with Yelan too is I find her fascination with the Regrator to be part of that self-destructive nature. Like she's almost seeking out trouble by trying to like find him while wearing her mantle sleeve.
Hmm.
She's like, remember this? Because it's mine now.
Yeah, totally. Flaunting it. They come and get me.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the Regrator's gonna show up with her other bangle and it's gonna be like, you looking for this? But the Regrator isn't the only Fatui Harbinger that she has had contact with. She's also interacted with Child before, and it was really fun because we didn't really talk about it, but Yelan has a secret base in Liyue Harbor, which is the Yangsheng Tea House. So this is the tea house that you go to during, I believe you go to it during her story quest, and there's like a little roof where you can drink tea, and there's a guard outside that works for like the ministry and everything. This tea house is the same tea house shown in Child's character tale video, the Sigil of Permission. So Child actually shows up to this tea house in this teaser on YouTube. We'll link it, and he's basically talking to the owner, and he's like, "You owe me money. Where's my money?"
Right, because this tea house is actually a casino.
Yes. So, and that's the whole thing is like he owes Child money. He wants the money. He does not get it, and then Child reported the man for tax fraud.
Well, he did, yeah, and to be clear, he didn't owe it to Child directly. He owed it to the Northland Bank, and Child was like, "I am here to collect."
He goes, "I am the Northland Bank,"
Yeah, yeah.
which he kind of is. But while he's there, he also gets a sigil, and the sigil is the same one that he uses in the Liyue Archon quest
Mhm.
to resurrect Osial. So
Mhm.
while Child goes in there totally selfish, he knows he's not going to get the money for the bank. He doesn't really give a fuck about that. He's going to get the sigil and throw this man in jail because he's angry with him.
Yeah, and he exposes the owner for accounting fraud, which is
Right.
what actually gets him arrested, which is ballsy. It's like you owe us money, but I'm going to get you arrested with the actual authorities. Even though I myself am shady, I'm going to tell on you. I'm going to rat you out.
We have to remember, though, that when Child first shows up to Liyue, he's highly respected there. I mean, he's hanging out with Zhongli all the time. He's really a diplomat representing the bank, you know?
Mhm.
So they don't treat him as shady because they don't know he's shady yet.
Right.
But yeah, Child reports him basically to the IRS. I'm like, where is the IRS? As per usual, I'm very curious where these things are.
It's in the ministry. That's one of their duties. They do tax stuff.
Oh, cool. So the place that Ganyu has no idea what they're doing,
Right.
he goes there. But, while Child totally had his own ideals here of what he wanted to get done, and it really sets him up for how he got the sigil and everything for Osial and giving you some background in the Liyue Archon quest. Yelan had already been researching the owner and stalking him out because she wanted to get the tea house somehow to be her secret base. So when Child ended up coming in, he did like half the work for her.
Well, Yeah, I don't know if it's clear that her motivation from the get-go was, I want that to be my base. It's all about that base. But she was like looking into them and like looking to expose them. But yeah, she does say that Child beat her to the punch and then gets the owner exposed and arrested. And then, the Fatui are occupying the tea house up until the Osile attack. And then that's when, after that, of course, most of them leave. And that's when Yelan is like, well, perfect opportunity to swoop in and become the new owner.
Yeah. And she definitely takes advantage of the situation in that moment too, because she's like, everyone's confused, then there's mass panic and chaos. So let me do this right now while I can.
Yeah. I love that the person out front, their dialogue changes after that,
Oh,
after the
really?
Osile. Yeah, her name is Chuyi, and she's such a dick to you the first time you talk to her. She's basically like, oh, well, are you even rich enough to come in here? Why don't you run along and like
Ew.
find something touristy to do? This is for grown-ups. And then
Wow.
once Yelan owns it, she's like, we're under new management and everyone is welcome. And we say something to her like, oh, really? Now everyone's welcome. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Everyone is welcome here. Like, please don't get me
Oh, I think I
fired.
remember her giving me attitude.
Yeah, it's like it
Yeah.
probably happened like when you first go to Liyue
Yeah.
and you're like talking to everyone. I remember being
Mm.
like, who the fuck is this bitch?
Or come in your stupid restaurant anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, it's because the old owner wanted the casino to be like very elite and only wanted wealthy gamblers to come in. So they actually trained, Chuyi the greeter to be rude to people, to keep like randos out. And
Work.
so now Yelan is sort of like, no, guess what? You actually have to let everyone come in here who wants to.
Damn it.
But it's still the casino. And she still gambles. And she does use it at the tea house as her base. But now that all kinds of people are welcome in, it's like she uses it as a great source of intel because there's a lot of gossip that happens. But she does occasionally pretend, because she's always bored, remember, unless she's in pain. She occasionally pretends to be a patron herself, and she's become notorious for beating anyone that gambles against her, which is because she cheats.
I hate it.
Wait, does she beat them or beat them? Like beat them at the
Oh, no,
at the
no,
Beats
game
them
or
up,
beat them up?
Tiff.
She's too mysterious to actually beat them up.
Hands thrown, Tiff.
She would probably follow them home and like wait until they're in bed to beat them up.
Yeah. Hmm.
But she cheats because she can read their eyes, and then she actually knows how to cheat at rolling dice, of course. And so she knows that if there's a tie when she's playing against someone, she knows that her opponent is also cheating. And she has no problems with exposing them as a cheater, which is hilarious. It's like, you're cheating too.
Yeah. Well, it's like
She's-
Child pointing out the IRS guy.
Yeah.
He's not committing tax fraud that we know of.
No,
That
but
we
he
know
is
of.
doing wildly anti-Liyue shit.
Nah, he apologized. It's fine.
So, okay.
He tried to kill everybody. He apologized. It's fine.
But did you die?
Did you die?
But does he feel bad?
Yeah, I think
I mean,
so.
you didn't die or anything.
Yeah, he totally betrayed them, but he was fine. I will say Yelan is like 100% the Aventurine in Teyvat. Because I feel like that's Aventurine's thing is he's like always gambling. He always wants to feel pain. He's always looking for the next high. And he's also ratting people out for random shit along the way. I mean, man, like, tried to destroy Penacony, but then was like, but I'm really here because I'm reporting everyone else for
Yeah.
destroying human lives.
Yeah, that's a good parallel.
And they gamble.
Yeah, I like
And they're
that.
cute. Aventurine's got to find that lip gloss, though.
Where is Yelan's hot boyfriend? Is
I'm
it
not in
Xiao?
charge of that.
Is it Xiao? Is that the ship?
I mean, he could be stark and brooding in a way that Ratio is.
Mhm.
But I don't
But
know.
who's the cocky one and that would match Ratio? Like stuck up and cocky.
The Regrator.
Regrator, you might
Oh my
be
God,
right.
you're shipping
That's why she's
Yelan and
obsessed with
Regrator?
him.
Yeah, why not? I mean, if she can't be with
Wow.
Ningguang,
They're rivals. That's why, and she is just constantly thinking about him.
yeah, maybe they actually were together and then she found out he was a harbinger. And that's why she's
Ooh.
got this thing now with him.
I really hope that she gets
Ooh.
involved in, well, like, whenever we finally get to content with him in it.
Yeah.
And just on the note of shipping, we keep talking about this whole Ningguang and Beidou thruple situation. But as everyone knows, Beiguang, one of the best ships in the game. And there's a lot of thought that Yelan has some sort of chemistry as well with this thruple. Now, Ningguang has a voice line about Yelan. Yelan has two about Ningguang. But Beidou and Yelan, neither of them have voice lines about one another.
But Beto's on her list.
But Beidou's on her
People to
list.
watch.
And in the Lantern Rite where Ningguang got the pretty outfit, there is a conversation between Beidou and Ningguang that includes Yelan's name that was very suggestive. And this is where the whole chess game situation came from.
Mhm.
Like, oh, do you want us to invite Yelan to play chess? I don't know. Like, that's not what happened, but it's basically what happened.
Right.
But I just think it's interesting that neither one of them have a voice line about one another, and it feels like some weird anger, jealousy thing where like, I'm not even gonna like acknowledge them outside of work.
Yeah.
But if she can't be with the throuple, I'm cool with her being with the Regrator. That's fine. It'd be probably a good power dynamic. Now, Brandon, you were just saying that you really hope that Yelan comes up more as the game gets closer to the end game.
Whenever Regrator shows up, we get into his storyline.
And we've talked a lot on this podcast about like the spy network, and you have a theory that if the spy network is real, that Yelan might be in it.
Absolutely. And I love thinking of who might be in the spy network, but to give some background on the spy network, we know there is one, and we know that there is one as recently as when Diluc went on his little emo mission without his vision pre-game.
Oh, after his dad died.
Yes. We know that he joined this underground intelligence network during that, I believe it was, which I think is in his character stories. Like, it's actually in his lore. But if you rewind way back before then, there was a spy network that was originally created by this character named Kreutzlied, who was the lone survivor of the Wanderers troop. And we did do an episode on the Wanderers troop, if anyone wants to go back and listen to that. And he was the wielder of the bell, that weapon, that beautiful claymore that no one uses.
I use it on Noelle.
I use it too on Dia, actually. But anyway, so Kreutzlied, he was this survivor of the Wanderers troop, but he was a member of the Lawrence clan. He's sort of like Eula in the past. And he was a disowned member of the Lawrence clan because he was fighting against the aristocracy. This is back in aristocracy days. And he created an underground organization to undermine the aristocracy. And it ended up aiding Vanessa when she did her rebellion against the aristocracy. So that's how old, potentially, if it's the same one, that's how old the spy network is. They actually refer to it in some places of the lore as a secret society. And if you fast forward a little bit from there and you get to the Arundelen, Rostam, Senora before she was Senora, that whole storyline and those characters, Rostam, he later inherited the secret society from Kreutzlied. So it passes from Kreutzlied to Rostam, and then we don't know what happens to it after that, but we know that Diluc later joins an underground intelligence network, which I am theorizing is the same secret society that was created by Kreutzlied that has been passed down. Now, these are all Mondstadt characters so far, so it might be a stretch to think that there are other characters, but I think when Diluc was running around Snezhnaya, that's when he was like dealing with the Harbingers and stuff. I think that's when he ended up joining this network. So I theorize that it's spread out all over to that. I could be wrong, but it's fun to think about. And so I do think that there is some clues that are some evidence that you could use to say that Yelan could be in the network, because there's already rumors that she works for some kind of mysterious organization. People are always whispering about it. She also has this pact with Ningguang that means that she is not Ningguang's subordinate, which is confusing for people because her actual title with the ministry, I mean, she technically has one. It's Special Intelligence Officer, but she reports directly to Ningguang. Her name is not on any paperwork. No one actually knows that she works for the ministry. But the title isn't actually accurate because it describes the work that she does, but not her relationship with Ningguang.
Right.
And she doesn't see herself as Ningguang's subordinate, but as fulfilling her end of this pact that they have. So keeping that in mind, you know, she works for the Qixing, but she is also not reporting to them. So that's a clue. It actually says in her lore that she has, quote, made her presence felt in the lands outside Liyue, quote, end quote, including other nations and the abyss. So she's definitely known in other nations. She's not just doing stuff for Liyue. So I think, you know, there's definitely grounds to theorize that she could be a part of the spy network. And I love to think about who else might be in it.
Mhm.
I think it's fun to think that, here's my list. I'm just going to give you my list. Kaya, Eula, Rosaria, Ningguang, Xingqiu's family, meaning his father and brother, Yunjin, maybe, Yaimiko, definitely, Ayato, or I like to imagine that Ayato's not, but that Toma is, and he's spying, he's like using his connection with Ayato to actually be a spy.
Oh yeah, didn't we say he was like the boots on the ground for Ayato, and that Yelan could even be the boots on the ground for Ningguang?
Yes. I also love the idea that Ayato, like Toma's like a secret agent and he's like using Ayato for intel and Ayato has no idea. I think that'd be like a fun twist. Sino, Wanderer. I think it would be really fun if Wanderer, once he got his memories back, decided to do some anti-Fatui shit. And one of those could be joining the spy network that's like trying to work underground to overthrow the Fatui. I think Arlecchino could be another harbinger that would turn. Navia, obviously, Nouvelette, obviously, and Risley has a great group of people that could potentially be giving him a lot of information. So that's my fun little list.
I like it.
Thank you.
So I have a counter for you. What if Yelan's actually a double agent?
Meaning she's working for who?
Regrator. Like, what if all this is all a ruse? And there were a few voice lines that made me think of it. The fact that nobody knows her name in this ministry, that no one knows that she actually works there. The fact that she has access to all this very secret intel that no one else has, that she's obsessed with Regrator, almost like they're in love or related. And that a lot of people think in general she's a spy who works for a mysterious organization. And yeah, it could be spy network, but I feel like she could also be a bad guy and we don't know it. And I feel like when you're in her shoes, and the same goes for like characters like Xiao, like you could go one of two ways. You either become the anti-hero or the hero. And we think she's a hero. But I don't know, maybe she could be getting information for Regrator and the Fatui. Maybe she's destroying other competition against her with Jerry.
I would say if she feels that the Fatui are on the right side, that would make sense. But I just say that because in her lore, like her character stories talk about her having this sort of realization, you know, remember about that her ancestors were heroic, and that is sort of now motivating her, like when she starts her new chapter after Perilous Trail. So she definitely sees herself now as like following the footsteps of heroes. But if she thinks that the Fatui are the heroes in the story, then yeah, I absolutely think she could be working for them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because just because they frame it in a way where it's not like her talking to anyone, it's like they're just like, this is like the inside of her mind, you know?
Interesting. Okay.
But I think most of the Fatui, well, not maybe the harbingers because they have to do so much dirty work, but I'm sure like the Saritsa thinks that what she's doing is noble. Like she probably thinks that she's doing the right thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and I think like we kind of touched on that whole idea previously too, of you always kind of think you're on the right side when it's your side.
Right.
There's very few people that are like, I'm in this because I'm evil.
Right. Just a Torre.
Yeah. Yeah, he might be he's the exception in there. But like, yeah, you always kind of think that you're in the right, but who knows?
I like the idea though of her starting off at odds with Pantalone and then getting to know him through their, matching wits during their little spy adventures against each other. And then they kind of like fall in love, and like he can turn her, like he turns her like to the other side. I could see something like that happening, or vice versa.
What also made me think that too is just like Shingshou's voice line. He has a voice line about her, and in part of it, he says, "If you've ever heard the expression same person, different face, Miss Yelan gives me precisely this feeling." And he basically says that, like, when she's been to his house before and hanging out with his family, he gets this very, like, polite, professional Yelan, but acts like he's seen her out in action, and it's like seeing a totally different person. And I don't know. I mean, it could just be because of that sense of adventure and the not care and the frivolous nature of herself, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. And also on that note, I think she might have Shang Yun on her special list because he once was doing an exorcism and Yelan happened to be there, and she wrote down his name, and then like he never saw her again. And he kind of was like, "Oh, well, I guess like once she saw me meditating and saw that like I wasn't gonna do much of anything fun, she didn't come to see me again." I was like, "Shang Yu, she's doing this because your yang energy's fucked up and she's afraid you're gonna like blow up Mondstadt. Like, I don't know. Like other people, I don't know."
They blow the whole place up.
Meanwhile, she was just like adding meditation to her list of activities that she could roll the dice on.
Well, on that note, I do think we have to move on to our mail section this week. Kirara's having a good day, if anyone was concerned. We're trying to keep it that way.
I think I hear her purring.
Ew.
Now you're angering her.
Yeah, don't shame her.
Shame her purr. Shame the purr.
There's no purr shaming here.
Anyway, our first message this week comes from Mia, and they said, "I saw this question on a different YouTube video, and I thought I'd ask y'all, which character has the best Night Soul design?"
Mm.
Now, Night Soul is just like whatever their Natlan mechanic is, right? That lets them do special stuff in Natlan. Like that lets them recharge beyond their normal meter.
Yeah, and there's like certain things like it's almost like their elemental energies kind of have it. And I think at their burst is when they're able to utilize the Night Soul kind of side of things to fight Natlandian things.
I'm gonna be biased here because I don't really have a lot of Natlan characters, so I'm not very exposed to it. But I really like Kinich. I like the way he looks when he's lit up like a glow stick. I like his burst and how he brings a How out, and then you have giant like dragon pixel a How fighting with you. So that's mine. I think it's fun. I think it's different, and I think it really ties into like Kenichi's design as a whole.
I'm gonna say I really like Kachina's, but I also like Auroron's. If we're talking about the burst, if that's like what it is, because his burst looks really cool because he like throws down this thing that like rotates.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's got that like circle thingy.
Yeah, but if in terms of like if we're talking more about like their traversal mechanic, I think Kachina's is really cute because she's like the way she like sits on her drill is just kind of adorable.
Yeah.
I know they have like a Night Soul burst, but then is that
Yeah, the Night Soul blessing is when in the Night Soul's blessing state, the character's movement and combat capabilities will be enhanced. When entering the state, a certain number of Night Soul points will be received.
But Mia's asking which character has the best Night Soul design.
Yeah.
I'm kind of answering the question of like what I think looks the best, but I don't know if they mean like the best mechanics or like what is the most helpful. You know what I mean?
I think design would be like the looks of
The
it,
look.
if I had to guess.
Yeah. I'm assuming. So that's how I'm answering it. I'm gonna say Kachina or Auroran.
Yeah, and that's also when they glow. When they're glow stick. I think I like Jalonins. And maybe it's because the colors already kind of like work with her. Ooh, I can't decide. Because I love Auroran, but I feel like if I say him, it's because I love him. And not because it's the truth, but because I love him.
Yeah.
He's my
I like
favorite.
the idea of Chaskas, but I also hate guns. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
hard for me to like see her floating around on a fucking gigantic gun. It's like a little, ugh. But I
Yeah.
like the idea and I like the way she like kind of lays on it, and it's just like, oh, I'm just chilling while I fly.
I can tell you which one I don't like, Moika. I really don't like
The
when her hair.
motorcycle is,
No, just the look in general, like her hair turns like white
mm.
and it's no longer like flamey. And I don't like it. Like I don't know what I like. I know what I don't like.
What about Aoife's? I mean, maybe my vote is Aoife just because. Well, actually, I don't know what his looks like now that I think. I just know his traversal when he's holding on to what is it, Kakuku,
Yes.
flying around.
Yeah.
I think that's funny, just because I think Kakuku's funny.
Yeah. He flies around with Kukuku and then he just kind of like glows slightly. He doesn't really have anything too special outside of floating,
Okay,
which
I
is
like that.
special and enough.
Yeah, he's not doing too much like some of the other characters.
Yeah. And I think like with Slitlali, she's like on a pillow with
Yeah, I don't like
Yeah.
that one.
hers. But it is kind of cool, like how they light up and stuff with it, because although there was a slight confusion with it, because they make it seem in the Archon quest so much that that glow is a hero thing when it's really a Night Soul blessing thing.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
thought it was a hero thing. I was so confused about
Hmm.
that.
Yeah, they kind of mix those together a little bit. I mean, it's a small thing, I guess, but yeah, it goes, well, are these people also heroes? Or, does everybody with a vision a hero? Yeah, it gets a little confusing in those cases, but
So we're going with Kanich, Auroran, and Shilonen.
yes.
Hmm.
You guys, we picked one.
So rare
We
for us.
picked one. Yeah, made a decision. We made a decision. We're
Ah.
growing. We're growing as a podcast.
Mia, thanks for helping us be easier going with our answers this
Thank you
time.
for helping us evolve as human beings.
Our next message comes from Tara, and they said, "Hello, I wanted to ask if you would be willing to talk about Farazan. I recently replayed her Hangout, and I feel incredibly sorry for her. The feeling of being alone in a world you used to know, but 100 years later, when all your friends and family are dead, I can't believe just how Farazan must feel. I also love how she compensates and talks to other characters, her little dynamic with Tignari's family, or the way she and Kave often design new mechanisms together. I really like it. She seems really fun." So,
Well,
we almost did an episode on Farazan last season, or the season before even. And then
Yeah.
they dropped all the crazy lore about the Temple of Silence, and we switched that episode out.
So you could feel bad for her just a little bit more.
Yeah, because we were like,
We
oh,
bumped her.
Sethos? Sino? Come here. We did Farazan dirty.
Yeah, we did. We didn't even bring her back this season into our lists, right?
No, because we really incorporated Natlan into this season in a way we haven't before.
Well, that and there was somebody else that got the axe that got put back in this season, but we'll leave that as a surprise. Not a surprise, just a secret. This is why you don't know who's getting the axe around here.
But yes, we did cut Farazan. But I agree with you, Tara. I love the story of Farazan. And I also think she's such a beautiful character. I love her design.
yeah,
Mhm.
same.
I think she could be really useful in learning more about Sumeru as well. I hope that they bring her up more often. I mean, she lived in Sumeru 100 years ago. She probably knows so much. That was 400 years after the Cataclysm. Like, she was probably exposed to a lot of interesting details that haven't been revealed to us yet.
So she was 100 years ago and is here now. Moika was 500 years ago and is here now.
Yeah,
And then Slit Lolly is how old's that bitch?
unknown.
But I think we're all in agreement that we need to have the Farazan Sitlali meetup.
Oh, hell yeah.
The
Mhm.
Granny Con
Yes.
2025.
There would be so much sass at that table.
They would be so hilarious together,
Mhm.
especially if they had them doing like old lady things, like playing bingo or something.
Yeah, they could
Just
play bingo
yelling
with
at all the
slimes.
whippersnappers.
Yeah.
I will say though, that's kind of like the one thing that bugs me about Feruzan is that she still has like this young I guess it's like with Sitlali, you know that she's 200 and whatever. But with Farazan, like, did she actually age? Like, did she know she was in the puzzle for 100 years? And like, if she didn't know that she was stuck for 100 years and she was stuck in like a stasis or something, then she shouldn't be this granny character, you know? Because she should still
Mhm.
be whatever age she was. But if she was in there for 100 years, then yeah, I guess whippersnappers are coming out.
Yeah.
We'll find out next season when we do her episode. In the meantime, she and Sitlali are on fold-out chairs in the grass in that land, screaming, "Get off my lawn!"
With their lemonade and fans. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Meanwhile, you know that Sitlali's pouring some like tequila in her lemonade.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Hers is spiked 100%.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you, Tara, for your question.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tara.
That being said, that is all the time we have for today, travelers. If you like this episode and you want to let us know what you think, you want to let us know what topics you'd like to see in the future, you can email Albedo at talesoftevatpod@gmail.com, where he will vet through the mail and let us know. Additionally, you can feel free to rate us on any of your podcast listening platforms to let travelers know that there is some lit content going on in the Genshin lore sphere. Says lit and expects at least 100 people to unsubscribe. You can also give us a follow and stay in touch with us on social media. We're on Instagram, Tales of Teyvat Pod, Twitter, Tales of Teyvat. We're also on Threads, Blue Sky, and YouTube under the same handles. Lastly, feel free to check out our Ko-Fi shop where you can buy us a cup of coffee, bark, some lemonade with tequila in it. All donations go to helping us pay for our web hosting, our editing softwares, and everything else that helps us make Tales of Teyvat so special. We also have a very small merch shop up on there where you could buy Twink Tank merch, since we talked about Twink Tank so much today. Don't worry, guys. We have not added a Twink Tank thong, although it has been requested. I'm not doing it. I'm not subjecting Aventurine
As she
to that.
says right now.
As I start designing the perfect thong.
Give the people what they want.
Aventurine on a thong. Got it. Cool. I gotta go see if I can like update his contract, man. I don't know if he's gonna go for that.
Oh, if you threaten him with a good time, he will.
Oh.
I'm more worried about Ratio. Ratio's gonna be like, you're putting my boyfriend where? Like, listen, it's so we can make money, Ratio. And he's like, I'm the only one allowed to order them, and I'm gonna order 100. And I'm like, kinky, but cool. As long as we're getting the funds, that's fine.
Ratio's like, I want encyclopedias
Yeah,
to be sold.
I'm like, okay, well, you can fund that. Next week, we're going to be talking all about another potential member of the spy network, the boots on the ground of Inazuma, when we talk about Toma.
My husband.
Yes, Brandon's husband. Polish that wedding ring before the episode.
I gotta find it.
You gotta find it. Oh,
Don't
oh my
tell him.
God, Brandon. Toma. Oh my God. Like, thank God we don't have our guest Toma here now.
It's fine. We're open. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay, I'm gonna no comment. Poor Toma. It's like I spent money on that ring. I got a lot of Ayato's money to buy you that ring, Brandon.
Listen, I don't ask him what goes on between him and Ayato. He doesn't ask me about what goes on between me and Noah.
Well then, until next time, travelers, safe travels. We'll see you next time.
Bye, 007 nerds. Bond.